some good news. Finally, some good. All right, thank you. All right. Watch this now. Who was your grammar school sweetheart? Who's the first boy you ever kissed? You remember? What was his first name? What was
Billy.
his... What?
Billy.
Yeah, was he a good kisser?
I was only in kindergarten.
Oh. Well, listen, you're going to like this one. In a world filled with bad news, I mean, I can't wait to watch this show myself. Some people were just meant to be together, and this is what I mean. Look at this. Show them, Brian. This is Nancy and David Bass's teenage sweethearts in high school. They broke up, went their separate ways, and I'm going to tell you why. He took another girl to graduation, this guy. That's curtains for him. Gone. Over. What happened? 40 years later, they find each other all over again. I am pleased to welcome man and wife Nancy and David Bass. Come on in here. What'd I do wrong? Oh, you took the guy. Oh, okay. I'll straighten that out in a minute. She took... That's what I thought. Shame on her. Okay, show him the next couple here. LaVon met Robert back when she was an 8th grader, and he was a freshman in high school. Robert was the first boy she ever kissed. And then Robert accepted an invitation to a dance with another girl, and devastated LaVon broke up with him. After other marriages, children, and over 40 years later, they are now married to each other. Here are LaVon and Robert. Come on in here. Should say, Robert, you don't normally, precede your wife like that. Obviously, we made you do that. I just want to relieve you of what looked like a discourtesy. All right, here are Jury Reeserer and Buddy Ott. Here's the story. Look at these. Look at this. What's not to love about this couple? They were high school friends. Actually, Jury went out with Buddy's best friend in those days, but she always had her eye on him. Buddy left town, and they married other people, had children, and then Buddy returned to Jury's hometown and looked her up after 39 years. What happened? They did not. But they're thinking about it. Here we are, Jury Reeserer and Buddy Ott. Come on out here. Let me get this straight now. Nancy, who went out with who now?
I went out with his best friend.
Yeah. On graduation night?
Graduation night.
Yeah. You will never forget, you're never going to forget this, David.
Well, he's not my best friend anymore.
Yes. Now, tell us the story. It really obviously broke your heart to the point where you said, that's it, I don't want to go out with you anymore. Is that right?
That's correct. When I had that happen, we had gone to a party, actually, and she ended up going home with him, left me stranded there. And so the next week it was graduation. She went out with him. So after that happened, I went to join the Marine Corps. It was during the Korean War, and I thought, well, I'll just join the service and go over and get killed. Luckily, I didn't.
Yeah.
I stopped all over his poor little heart.
Yeah.
I'm making up for it now.
A lot of things intervene, including some sad stories. First of all, you both lost your spouses. Do I understand that you both lost the people to whom you were married, you didn't realize at the time, in the
month.
Same month?
Also, he had 3 daughters. I had 3 sons. We lost our children within 2 days.
You lost one child, each of you. Within 3 days of each other. Now, all this, 2 days. All this was a tragic irony that you didn't know about, of course. How long was your marriage then, prior to widowhood?
15 years.
15.
Now, so you have each 2 remaining children. Mm-hmm. Here you are, widow and widower. What state? Where were you when the...
I was in New York City. I was working right over here in New York City, and he was in Hawaii.
But where were you when you put an arrow in his heart at graduation?
Oh, Pasadena, California.
Both of you.
He was a cheerleader, and we were in the Rose Bowl, where we played our games, and we went to school there, and that's where all that happened.
Now, tell me how this... did you know he was in Hawaii?
No, I didn't know where he was.
You live in Lahaina now, do you not?
Yes, we do.
That's Maui, is it not? Okay. Well,
but what we did
you don't have to lord over us just because you live in Hawaii.
5 miles apart we lived for 12 years and didn't know it.
That was in Southern California.
And that's after our spouses died, and we looked for each other, and we couldn't find each other. Because I thought of him all those years. I thought, oh, David was such a gentleman, he was such a wonderful guy. I wanted to find him.
Not good enough for graduation,
I
though.
went to a
No. She was the elusive butterfly. And,
Now, just wait a minute. I want to know how they got together, huh? All right.
I found him.
That's my job, to find these things out here. Just give me a second here. Are you serious that that there was a time where you were literally both trying to find each other and neither knew the other was looking for each?
Right. No, I thought he must be happily married, and I didn't know.
You really did.
But I still looked.
You thought about him regularly, shall we say?
Well, quite often, yeah.
yes, same.
Tell the truth, come on.
No, I did. I never thought I had a chance with her because of what she did to me when we were kids. And so through the years, I just ran into her a couple of times during the 40 years that we were separated. And during that time, you know, she was never made any overtures toward me or showed me that she was any more interested in me than she was when we broke the date, though I thought she liked me as a friend.
I did.
You both have teenage kids?
Oh, we're older than that now.
Well, didn't you say you were... Oh, I see. Oh, I'm not counting the time you've been married.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a moment. All right, let's get to the good stuff now. How'd you get his phone number? How'd this work?
I went to a college reunion, and I asked everybody, and nobody knew, and I said, no, he's not coming. But I flew out to California from New York anyway. I thought, I'm going to go anyway. So while I was there, a lot of the people, I said, do you know where he is? How is he doing? And they said, I don't know, I don't know. Finally, one couple said, we live on Maui, and so does he. So I said, great, give him my number. I gave it to them, and 5 months later, I hadn't heard from him at all. So I thought, well, yeah, I shouldn't have gone out with
guy to the graduation.
No.
Yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead.
And then one day I got a phone call on my answering machine, and he left his number, and oh, he sounded great. And he said, oh, I'd love to see you. So I called the number immediately. It was the wrong number. I thought, see, what is this? He doesn't know his own number? So a couple days went by, and I didn't hear from him, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'm on his list. He doesn't want to. So I looked on area code map, and I saw that he'd given me the wrong area code. So I went home, and I thought, where is that number? But I'd thrown it away. So now I had the right area code, but I had no phone number. So later that evening, I found it in another place. So anyway, I called. And
I was tickled to death. I couldn't believe it. This was like
so 3 weeks later, I was in Maui.
I bet you were. Did she respect the time difference? I mean, was it 3 in the morning when the phone rang? I mean, was it reasonable?
Actually, when she called me, it was in the evening, and I don't know what time it was, New York time, probably late at night.
Right. Excuse me, but a nice-looking guy like you with clean fingernails and a neat haircut was sitting all by himself overlooking the Pacific Ocean while the sun set in Hawaii?
I wasn't mooning my life away, but I wasn't with anyone that was nearly as interesting to me as this young lady. So I was dating and things, but nothing special.
Right. So all of a sudden, Shazam, out of the past comes the lovely and highly regarded Nancy on the telephone. And how long did you talk?
We talked probably for about an hour, and it was so wonderful just to hear her voice. It was kind of bridged the gap between when we were kids. And,
yeah, so the embers were still burning?
Oh, yeah. Oh. And I thought, this time I'm not going to let her get away. Absolutely.
Well, what do we ought to ask him? So how, I'll say it does. How long have you been married?
1 year.
It'll be a year next month,
So you were both widowed for a while then, do I understand?
Oh, yeah, long time.
How long were you widowed?
No fun.
Yeah.
About 18, 20 years. I can't remember now.
So there's 18, 20 years between your widowhood and your meeting each other. Wow.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And I hated dating.
Yeah.
Yuck.
I know. I know. Yeah, we've had other women express the same thing on our program. Let me just get we've got other stories we want to tell you here, but let me just get Are you there? I'm glad you waited, caller. Hi, go ahead.
Yes, I am. I am a married woman, and I re-met my high school sweetheart, and now I want to know how we forget each other. It's been years, and I can't seem to forget him.
Now, wait a minute. I used to be able to control this program. Tell her to what?
Hang up and call tomorrow.
Yeah, this is another show, isn't it?
Right.
Listen, you're married for how long?
I've been married for 10 years. Both of us have.
Well, oh, you mean the other, and you met him what, at the drugstore or what?
We met at a class reunion.
And you had dated him in high school?
Yes, I did.
How many children do you have now by this marriage?
We both have 2 children.
Well, you keep saying, oh, I see. Yeah, not unlike Nancy and David. They both had 3. Now, wait a minute. We can fix this. How long ago did you see him?
It's been 2 years.
And have you had any contact at all with him since the reunion?
Oh, yes, I have. We were seeing each other for 9 months, but only seeing each other, writing letters and such.
Yeah.
We weren't having a full-fledged affair.
No. What's a half-fledged affair?
Well, it's just talking on the phone and writing letters.
Right, and you do it when he's not around.
Right.
And you're feeling guilty.
Well, I felt guilty, and I've been very depressed, and I've been darn near suicidal. And I'm trying to get it all back together again, but I have a hard time forgetting him. Every time I see a car that looks like his, I think of him. Every time I hear a song that makes me think of him, I think of him.
Yeah.
I don't know how to turn it off, and it's ruining my marriage.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to bet, and this is worth what you're paying for it, I'm sure. I bet you and this other guy would last an hour and a half.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I bet you wouldn't last an hour and a half. I bet you it's about excitement, about not being able to see him, and you've got all those old memories and that high school giddy stuff. Now, this is not to say it couldn't be real. It certainly was for the people that we're meeting on our stage today. But, you know, you don't really know this guy.
That's true.
How am I doing?
You're doing good.
Nancy and David, although you hit it real well, boy, I mean harmony on the phone right away. You probably a little giddy, weren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Like
It's
high
really
school stuff.
Exciting. Yeah.
Well, we're not helping this woman on the phone, but you got to be honest with it. Now you fly all the way to Hawaii. Hang on, caller. Is anybody in free advice for the caller? You do. What?
This happened to me. I was changing my granddaughter, this is about 8 years ago, and I got a funny phone call, and it was my old sweetheart. And I was curious as all get out, but I also didn't want to jeopardize my marriage. So I just never met him. And I never saw him. I never, he called me, but I felt, why jeopardize a good thing, even though I was curious. So I would suggest if she loved her husband.
What's wrong with her marriage?
What's wrong with her marriage?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I tell you what bothers me is she's got this little fantasy working, and I'm afraid she's going to find something wrong with her marriage so she can nourish her fantasy. You see, huh?
That's right.
I'm telling you, we weren't born yesterday, were we? You have only seen him at the reunion.
No, I've seen him before. We've written letters.
Oh, I know that, but I mean, since the reunion, you haven't really seen him.
Well,
personally.
Well, the last time I saw him was about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Does she really love her husband?
Do you love... is that our business? She says she feels she's in a troubled marriage here, and we really do have another show going here. But let me see if we can't make this make some sense here. David, Nancy, help me. You flew a long airplane flight to you got to go to Honolulu, you change the plane, you go to Maui. You must have been scared to death a little. No? You weren't.
No, David was such a gentleman all the time. I knew everything would be fine. He was always so sweet in school. He was nice.
40 years later?
I knew that we'd have a good time. Even if there was no romance, I knew we'd have a great time. I just thought it'd be a fun trip.
What if he was twice the size, and shorter,
Well, he told me he wasn't.
All right. Yeah, what?
Or how long did you go together before you broke up, and were you afraid that maybe he wouldn't even remember you once you called him?
I was surprised he ever talked to me again, frankly.
All right, hang on a minute. LaVon, Nelson, Andrews, Gary, you have more names than Miller, French, Smith. What's the name of that?
Carter's
and Robert Gary. Listen to this. You met in 1940. Mm-hmm. Well, you haven't changed a bit.
Thank you.
When LaVon was an 8th grader, And you were a freshman in high school. You probably just thought he was the most mature person you ever saw in your life, huh?
Exactly. He was beautiful.
Yeah. Did he have dark, wavy hair and all that?
Yes,
He
yes.
did?
And twinkly blue eyes.
I bet he did. They never went to the same school. Robert was 16, and you were 14 when you met. Wow. 16 and 14. Well, Robert was the first man that you ever kissed.
Can you believe that?
I guess I have to.
Don't knock puppy love.
I'm not. That's no kidding, boy. You better not patronize somebody
Look
who's...
where it got me.
Yeah. You really, the lightning struck, and you really have this memory, don't you? I mean,
Yes.
What a wonderful, wonderful euphoria that was for all of us. Shouldn't we all have something like that?
Yes.
We want to try and make sure you don't get married the next day after this, and you didn't. What happened, Levon? Don't tell me he took another girl to the graduation or something.
Well, it was almost that bad.
What happened?
Well, we moved to Iroquois, and so for just...
South Dakota.
Yes, and we were about 9 miles apart. And I was a sophomore, and he was a senior, and there was a junior girl that wanted to ask him to go to a girl thing that they could ask the boys.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't so bad that she asked him, but he said yes.
I know.
And I was devastated.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you.
I believe you.
I was
I
devastated.
believe you.
My mother and father thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown, and my dad said, you know, there's always another fish in the pond.
And that meant nothing to
No,
you. You wanted.
I didn't believe him.
Yeah. How old were you when you got this arrow in your heart, Levon?
I suppose I was about 14. No, I was older than that. About 16, 15, 16, because I was a sophomore.
Yeah. And this is a real...
Oh, devastating.
Well, Iroquois, South Dakota, you know, I just don't... I'm not going to patronize Iroquois. I'd like to visit there someday.
Yeah.
The point is, at that time, 1940, it really was Moon Spoon, June, and a soda with 2 straws. And maybe a yellow jalopy if you were lucky.
Yeah.
Would you believe it that 4 of them would put 5 cents in to put 20 cents in this friend's car to come 9 miles to see me? Do you guys believe that?
Well,
It's
that's
almost
what friends are
$2 a
for.
gallon.
Times were tough.
Yeah. So did you really lock him out? I mean, what happened
Oh,
after?
yes. I wouldn't have a thing to do with him. I said, no way. If you're going to that party with her, I don't want to even see you again. And then, of course, he graduated and went to the Navy, was in World War II. And I just forgot about him. I thought, you know, he does not care about me.
Tell him what happened after the war.
Oh, well, I don't remember that so well.
Didn't he come over and knock
Oh, well,
on you?
yes. He found out where I was working in Huron.
He
at the
comes over
telephone
and he
company.
knocked on your door,
Uh-huh.
Levant. What'd you do?
I didn't want to talk to him. Well, would you talk to him?
One strike, this guy. I mean, it's, you know, you have no tolerance. There's no, you're all so absolute. All right, so say goodbye, Robert. It's over. It's your fault, huh?
Glad to see him.
What?
When he knocked on my door, I was glad to see him.
When...
But she did
About
the
4 years
rejecting,
later.
Oh, yeah. Well, but it's a little different here.
No, not 40 years later. 4 years later.
There was actually an attempt then. What happened the second time?
I was married.
Oh. Well, that's pretty good reason. You know, and we're all grateful that you respected that status. Okay, so Levon comes back from, or here comes Robert back from the Navy. Levon, no nothing doing, boy. Levon does not forget. Now you you each married.
Going with anybody.
You each married people, and you each we must necessarily tell this audience, you each lost your spouses, your first spouses, both of whom died very suddenly of cerebral hemorrhages, and neither of whom was what we would call old.
My husband was 54, and Darlene was
59.
Yeah.
59.
Now, where were you living at the time that these tragedies...
That's kind of the unique part about this. All of these years, we lived 32 miles apart for 46 and a half years.
Did you know?
We knew it.
Yeah.
I mean, our mutual friend was his aunt, and so we could read in the newspaper about what was happening, and she would tell us. But we never once saw each other.
You think you're running, you know, during
Robert,
the
we don't have
storm?
time for you to talk,
All right.
Robert. I thank you for allowing us to get a couple of laughs here, Robert. You were saying, sir, please, please. You wanted to make a point. And you forgot it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Did you know she was 32 miles apart when you did?
Oh, yes.
You thought about her?
No, not often. Huh?
Yeah, you were happily married. That's okay. No insult here.
Good marriages. That's what we want to say.
You both did
We
have
both
good
have
marriages.
good
You
marriages.
should get that in. And
You bet we did.
That's why we are so lucky. We are so fortunate. A lot of people don't get a second chance, and with a lot of times people are not happy about that.
Yeah.
But we were up front with all of our children. In fact, I met most of his family. He has 4 girls and a boy, and I met them the second date, and I loved them. I could not love them anymore if they were my own children.
I bet you did. Now, please, before we break here, Lamont, we may have no time for you guys at all. What occasioned the reunion? Tell me how that happened, briefly.
Well, my husband died in 1982, and I worked about 3 jobs trying to keep I suppose that was my therapy. And then I heard from his aunt, and I also read in the paper that his wife had passed away. And she told me it was the same thing, a cerebral hemorrhage, which I thought was very unusual. And I knew what he was going through and what his family was going through.
What state is this, Lamont?
This is South Dakota.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. Iroquois, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And we're only 32 miles. I'm in Huron, he's in DeSmet, South Dakota. And I worked in, places where it's funny that we didn't run into each other. But we know now that we weren't supposed to. This is the way it was supposed to be. And they kept goading me to call him. And in my day, you didn't call a man.
No,
I said, no way. Well, yes, just give him a call. You don't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
So I did. I called him.
You must have been scared to death.
I was trembling. I waited until the last minute. I thought, oh, well, I'm going to. And I called him and I said, hi, is this Robert Gary? Yes, it is. And I said, well, this is LaVon Andrews. And afterwards he said, I want to say, yeah, and I'm president of the United States, too. He didn't believe it was me. He thought someone was doing.
So you schmoozed on the phone talking?
Oh, we talked like we had never stopped talking for about an hour or more. And then we made a date to see each other the next night. And everybody said, now, hold up, LaVon. This may not work. He may not be the same person, I said, okay, I just want to have a cup of coffee with him, talk about school days. Right. And the minute he walked in my apartment, I knew. It was just like 46.5 years had just melted. The spark was there.
I got a break here, but just let me say, Jeree dated Buddy's best friend. Let's just say hello to these folks. Jeree dated Buddy's best friend in high school for over 39 years. You always had your eye on him, even when you were dating the other guy. Isn't that?
No, not when I was dating the other guy.
Oh. I thought, like you're dancing with him and looking, over.
Oh, no, because we still see the other guy.
You both eventually married other people. Jeree, you were widowed after a 25-year marriage. Buddy is divorced, and then Buddy returned to Jeree's hometown, and he saw you after 39 years. They both still live in different cities, right? Different states, I think. Yep. And, they're getting along very well. I mean, really, the embers are still burning, but you don't want to rush into these things. Let me ask the audience, do we want them to marry? You may not get out of here single, and we'll be back in just a moment. Hi, I'm glad you waited. Go ahead. You there? You there?
Yep.
Good.
I'm looking for my high school sweetheart, and I was just wondering, how did these couples go about finding each other?
You want to talk about that? Let's get Jeree in this, and Buddy. Please. How'd you find each other?
Well, we're together because Harry Truman fired Douglas MacArthur.
I understand
in 1951.
that,
Everybody should understand that.
Yeah, explain.
But Douglas MacArthur had a son by the name of Arthur MacArthur, who at that time was about our age. And we staged in a rather
probably still
elaborate...
is, may I say, Buddy, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, you're right, at that time.
Go ahead.
We staged a rather elaborate charade involving me impersonating Arthur MacArthur because of her. And it worked. She firmly believed she was seeing Arthur MacArthur. And
was this at a reunion?
No, this was at
From
a
a party.
in May of 1951.
100 people or better. We had a police escort, and I was the only one that didn't know he wasn't Arthur MacArthur. All I saw was the back of his head sitting on the boyfriend I used to date's convertible.
Yellow Chevrolet convertible.
Waving to everybody.
But now this is 1951.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, were you an item then, the two of you?
No.
You went to the same school?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Uh-huh. So you never really, no twinkle like this over here? No
There
twinkle?
is now.
No.
There is now, I'm sure. So, same high school?
Yes.
He was a year older.
Very good. Now you marry, and do I understand? I'm having trouble following the program here. 25 years you're married, and then you're widowed.
4 years ago.
Yeah. So what occasioned the reunion? It wasn't MacArthur did that. Tell me.
Sort of. Yes, he did.
A mutual friend, they were discussing the parade at a dinner club. And the mutual friend, they mentioned me, of course, and a mutual friend said her daughter works here. Called her daughter over, and 2 nights later when Buddy was in, she said, "Are you married? My mother's not. Why don't you call her and take her to dinner?" And I thought, oh, the poor man's trapped.
Well, I told her daughter to, the next time she saw her mother, to please tell her that Arthur MacArthur said hello.
And I hadn't told anybody. I mean, you forget when you're made a fool of like that. You forget it for 39 years.
So you didn't know what your daughter was talking about?
Yes, I knew
you knew
immediately.
I see.
The face came.
Yeah, yeah. Fabulous. And then how long did right away?
He asked me out, and then for 3 weeks I didn't hear from him, but I had my spies out and knew what he was doing. And then bingo. Called me again, and that's been it.
And you've been married for... Oh, yeah,
We're
sorry,
not
married. Okay, so what are we waiting for here, audience? I mean, come on. Hey. I'll tell you. You know, these New York audiences, you know, we don't want to waste any time. Let's get on with it.
This has only been since February, though.
You've been dating since February.
Yes, and he left for San Antonio in May.
Yeah, well, we respect very much your very mature and thoughtful approach to the very serious decision of marriage. Are you there, caller? Hi.
Hi.
What do you think?
I'm calling to see if the first caller is still out there listening. I've got a little piece of advice for her.
Let me remind this audience, if you joined us late, the first caller met an old boyfriend at a high school reunion. She is married now 10 years, and she's got a real thing for the boyfriend, and she's living with a marriage that she doesn't know what to do, and she has not in any way been unfaithful to her marriage.
Okay, what I was going to say is...
Yes, I do.
She said that.
Yes, I believe it. I believe it because the same thing almost happened to me. I've been divorced for 34 years. My high school sweetheart wrote to him all during World War II. I broke up with him because he was cheating on me. And then a year and a half later, I married my husband. I was married for 10 years. And about 15 years after my divorce, he came back into the area. He lived in another state, talked with me, wanted it to resume. But he was different, I was different. He was still married, and I says, "You're married yet, and respect your marriage," so it was definitely a no. Every once in a while, when he'd come back home to visit his family, he would give an occasional phone call, see how I was,
right.
But that was it, so
you
I
weren't
do...
a little bit, come on.
No. I wish I were. I wish I were.
What did the caller want to share with us?
My husband and my children and I recently moved back to our hometown. And right across the block lives my first boyfriend, my first kiss. And I just wanted to say that he's still a friend, but I cherish my marriage with my husband. And I mean, the grass may look greener on the other side of the fence, but my husband's learned to live with me this far, and I hope he'll stick with me through the rest.
You would offer this. That's good. Very happy. Did any of you want to say? Yes, Nancy, please.
You're not. You've got to get to the romantic fun part now.
Okay, sure. Now, you mean in your situation?
The reuniting part. Yeah, that's the fun part.
Well, please share it with us, Nancy. I mean, Maui, come on.
Yeah.
Had to have been fabulous.
Well, I met Nancy at the airport when she flew in. I had a sign that said, "I'm looking..."
Okay, sure. Now, you mean in your situation?
The reuniting part. Yeah, that's the fun part.
Well, please share it with us, Nancy. I mean, Maui, come on.
Yeah.
Had to have been fabulous.
Well, I met Nancy at the airport when she flew in. I had a sign that said, "I'm looking for the New York lady with the blonde hair and the white legs." And she spotted that, and I took her out to Hana. That's a little place on the east part of the island of Maui that's like the old Hawaii. And it rained for 3 days. We had a nice little 2-bedroom unit out there. It was just wonderful.
A little Chinese cottage.
Yeah.
Called The Heavenly Haunted, and he wrote a song about it, yeah. It's so romantic. That's where we fell in love again.
A 2-bedroom unit?
Yeah, I didn't want to be too presumptuous. You know, so.
Well, this is very important now for those of us, or those watching who might, you know, find somehow
That's why
lightning.
it was okay. I wasn't worried about flying out there.
It would have been, you'd have been upset, wouldn't you, if it were 1 bedroom? That's just a little bit, hey.
Too
and
much,
you, it
too
wasn't
quick.
like him anyway, was it?
Mm-mm.
Isn't that
That's
neat?
right. That's right.
Huh.
But that was very romantic.
Yeah, I just like to say that her coming back into my life, Phil, was like being reborn again.
I bet it was.
It's just, it's given me new vigor, life. It's just fantastic. It's like if I had my greatest fantasy, it couldn't compare to my life today.
Isn't
it's
that
just
fabulous?
Wonderful.
You feel the same way, Levon. You want to say something? Let Levon say something, we'll break.
I was just going to say, Robert and I, for the first 5 months of our reuniting, kept saying, I can't believe this is happening. You know, it's like a dream come true. A lot of people think that after you're 60, there is not exciting love. Yeah, there is.
Disturbed. We'll be back in just a moment.
Be part of the audience. Please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
Brian, let's do pictures, huh? Because we really want to just see how it was. Let's talk about, tell you what, let's do 54 first here. Number 54. When you call that up, we'll push our buttons here and see what we can do here. Look at this, 1950, Nancy. You're a killer then, you're a killer now.
I wasn't that old. I'm not that old.
Now let's see David. Oh, Mr. Hockey Puck.
Cheerleader.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought that was a hockey outfit.
Cheerleader.
You're a cheerleader, too. David. Now, here you are, David and Nancy Bass's high school graduation. I'm telling you, most likely to succeed. All right, let's see the twosome now.
You're cute.
Nice-looking group of people. Okay, number 51. 51. Here's Levon and Robert. Here you are. Look at this. No wonder we won the war, Robert. Look at this proud seaman. And here you are now. That was, incidentally, 1945. Let's show this here. 52. Let me see 52, if we may, if you please. Here are Levon and her first husband, Glenn Andrews. The wedding was 1947. Next slide, please. Here's Robert Gary and his first wife, Darlene, 1949, and how proud they must be of you and how much you honor their memory, because you are both happy, which is just what your first spouses would want you to do. And finally, 5-0. All right, jury, here you are, 18 years old. And here's Buddy Ott, age 17. And the relationship continues. You both respect and think very, very highly of each other. And whether or not you get married...
we will.
We will.
You will.
I heard it, Mike. I wasn't sure.
You
That's
can't get out
the
of here.
first that I've heard of it.
It is. Well, what a nice way to figure this out here. Yeah.
I'd like to know who paid for the trip to Hawaii.
You did. Good for you, Nancy. Good for you. Yes.
Nancy, I'd like to have you tell us, the audience and the listening audience, what the traits were of your first husband versus the traits that this gentleman had when you decided to go the other way, because he looks terrific. I mean, he seems responsive.
Well, he's wonderful. He's sensitive. He's very considerate. He is always considerate. He even remembers to put the toilet seat down.
Yeah, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Let me get somebody else in that shot.
Yeah, I was wondering, how long did you date in high school? When you were in high school?
Years.
A couple of years.
Yes.
Does Levon have any of her own children?
Yes, I have 2 boys.
Oh, thank you.
Sir.
The couple that got married,
They're not married.
They're not
yet.
married? I'm not married 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
Look how happy I am.
Well,
you happy to get married? That's my girlfriend. That's my girlfriend. I love her.
This is your girlfriend?
That's what I love.
And this is your idea of a big date, a free ticket to the Donahue Show? Holy cow. Yes. Yes.
I also married a old boyfriend after 14 years, and we've seen each other for 5 days and decided to get married.
And how's it going?
I won't comment on that.
Yes.
Because you... 5 days.
I'm sorry?
We decided in 5 days, too. You know, when you have that history, and you get together, there's such a connection. It's just electric. It's there.
How long did it take Levon and Gary and Robert to do this?
Not very long. When you get to be our age, you better not waste too much time.
Now that you're with your high school sweethearts, do you feel 18 again?
Pardon?
You feel 18 again, Levon?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Did any of you ever think about each other when you weren't together? You did.
And we looked. He looked and I looked.
You're all very attractive, which I'm really impressed with. What would you have done if when you found each other you were overweight and not very attractive?
We are. I asked him that when we got together. What would you do if I was 400 pounds? And he said he loved me anyway, sweetest thing, consider.
You did.
You seem so happy now.
Yes,
if you
they
could
do.
go back, would you change it? Would you, see, you know, get together
We're
sooner?
sorry we didn't have children together.
Yeah. Yes.
The couple on the right, the gentleman on the right, what if you were working on your job and all of a sudden an attractive woman comes along and all of a sudden the earth shakes, all of a sudden you see stars, and you know you love this woman, but yet human nature just takes its course.
Yeah. I've been a bachelor for 20 years.
So it's not likely that the earth is going to shake and it's going to be the 4th of July?
It doesn't
It's shaking now. Let me get one on. Are you there, caller? I'm sorry to make you wait. I don't have a lot of time.
It's okay. Yes, I am here. And yes, I am married, but my high school sweetheart has come back into the picture, and she's trying to break up my happy marriage.
And what are you doing to resist this?
There's not too much I can do because she follows me to work. She sends me cards. She parks in front of my house. I go to the store. She's there with my favorite candy bar.
You don't see her. Do you see her at night?
When I go running, she's in her shorts and she's chasing me. And then I sit and I try to talk to her. And a little feelings are there, but I'm trying to resist because I do love my wife very much.
Sure. She chases you while you're jogging?
Yes.
Run faster.
I was in consumers buying my wife.
It's probably those chartreuse shorts. You better. Well, I appreciate very much and believe you when you say that you're resisting this and that you love your wife and you want to hold on to your marriage, right?
Yes, I do, very much.
Good. Well, this audience wants you to hold on to it, too. I hope the fact that you called will help you to do that. We'll be back in just a moment. Guess who this happened to? I didn't know this. George Siliberto married his grammar school girlfriend after intervening marriages, including he was widowed. And you, how long ago were you married? You were married a year ago, about.
A year ago.
Huh? I'm telling you. Has this happened to everybody? She was your grammar school, this girl?
We went to grammar school together up to the 5th grade.
And then, okay, you grow up and you get married?
Right. I went to Catholic high school. She stayed in local high school in town.
Yeah.
Then about 3 years ago, we met.
And had she married in the interim?
We graduated in 1955.
And there were marriages intervening in both cases.
Right.
And did you meet her at the same, at a reunion, or was it?
Her cousin went to a wedding, and they knew I was at this certain place.
Yeah.
They came in. I walked right by her. She said, "Hello, George." I said, "I didn't know who she was." She says, "I'm Marilyn." That's how it started. We went back into the restaurant. We started talking, and we went out again.
And you have our congratulations. And you're a lucky guy. Marilyn is perfect. Tell him, this happens all the time. Yes, ma'am, you stand.
I wanted to know how their children get along together.
How we doing, kids?
Oh, well, they...
Fabulous.
Okay.
Yeah, my children, Lisa and Terry, my two remaining daughters, love Nancy. My folks say they're glad I finally settled down. Yeah. So they're still living.
And I have sons, Mike and John, and they love him. And my mom, too.
Yeah.
It couldn't be happier in our
No.
family. Everybody loves
My
everybody.
grandchildren call her Grandma.
And I always wanted daughters, and so did my first husband. We had 2 boys, and I have 3 grandsons. Yeah. And so I have all these beautiful daughters and these beautiful granddaughters.
You wanted to say...
He wrote a song, and he can sing it.
Yeah.
Well, you see, the idea is for the host to control the crowd.
I'm sorry, Bill.
No. I'm nowhere without you, babe. You want to do this a cappella?
Sure, why not?
Okay, it's not 9 minutes, is it? No, hang on a minute. Someday we'll have a big budget. We'll have a big budget for you, David, but it's no band. You do this by yourself. David Bass, ladies and gentlemen.
You are daisies in the morning, you are laughter in the afternoon, and when the day is over, you are roses in my wine. Oh, you are fire in the nighttime, you are rain and you are thunder, and the wonder of it all is you are mine.
Nancy, don't let him out of the house.
He wrote lots of songs.
Wow, and we'll be back in a moment. Yes.
This is to anyone. We all change in time, so when you met for the second time, was it the chemistry of the memories or the moment that started things going
Take
again?
a swing. Yes, please.
The moment, because I really didn't have the chemistry since we had never dated, but I thought he was absolutely gorgeous. And when he didn't call for 3 weeks, I was crushed, buddy.
Yeah.
We had more
You want to swing at that, Levon? Was it the chemistry?
It was the chemistry, yes.
Yes,
The moment
ma'am.
was right.
On the end,
Yes.
how often do you get to see one another? Do you have a long-distance relationship?
About every 2 months now since he went down in May. But I'll go just as soon as he thinks I'm ready to leave home.
Do you feel like you've missed something after being apart for so many years? Because I'm marrying my high school sweetheart, and I couldn't imagine being apart from him that long.
We missed a lot.
We missed a lot,
Yeah.
but we had good marriages, so we have no regrets. None.
Yes.
Are you relocating? When you marry him, you have to relocate?
If his business means that. I mean, we aren't sure where we're going to end up. We'll go together.
Yes.
I'm curious to know, when you look at each other, are you partially looking at them as they were 30 years ago, or are you in the present, or is it kind of a combination?
Marie says now. She's in the moment.
I'm in the moment, but I feel like I'm 16.
Nancy, you were still...
Yes, sir.
Nancy, you were still married, but you had a spot in your heart for him?
No. She was widowed.
Yeah, but after?
Oh, while she was married?
Yes, while she was married.
How about that, Nance? Let's have the scoop here. Yeah, during your marriage, throughout your adult life. I mean, you told us, I think, that you thought about David.
I did. I thought of him every now and then, yes. I didn't think of him constantly, but occasionally, yes. And always with a warm spot in my heart.
And you didn't forget about her, I'm
When
sure.
we were married in Hawaii, this lady, Mrs. Hasagawa, who did the little marriage thing, and she said, "You two have the right chemicals."
Yes, not to be confused with
The
you know what in
chemistry.
this day and age. You got to be careful. Are you there, caller? I'm glad you waited. Hi.
Hi. I fell in love with a boy in first grade. We went steady in 8th grade, but we broke up, but we stayed close friends. We double dated after high school with other people. 3 years out of school, we got back together. We married 2 months later, and then I found out that he told male friends I was dating that I was looking for a husband, just to kind of keep them at arm's length.
In other words, he was defending, he was trying to protect you from other guys while he was not with you.
Right.
And it worked.
Yeah, it did.
And how long have you been married?
We've 9 years yesterday.
And you're happy?
Absolutely.
What did he get you for your anniversary?
A leather coat.
And we'll be back in just a moment.
For a transcript of today's show, send $3 to Donahue Transcripts, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 1007, or call 212-227-READ.
Hey, babe.
Blowing the whistle on catcalls and crude comments.
Yo, baby, sit on my bleed.
Next, Donahue.
You better not watch that one, Levon. Show him. Levon's got a T-shirt. Show him quick before we...
Got these for our wedding presents, and that says it all. Still
perfect after all these years. Well, you make us feel good about ourselves. Congratulations. You got to call us on the date. When you get your date, you got to call us. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. And
service provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
The amazing Cool View room air conditioner from Quasar takes up just 6.5 inches of your window viewing space. See the Cool View at selected Sears stores.
Dulcolax has it. The other leading laxatives don't. Only Dulcolax has a comfort coating designed to protect your stomach. Comfort coated Dulcolax.
For the perfect weekend and the perfect frequent stay program, check into the new Drake, the only Swiss hotel on Park Avenue.